Grace and peace be multiplied unto you. I welcome you to today's lesson in English on the topic formal and informal letters. So, like I said in the previous lessons, or in this month, I said that we are going to work on our writing skills. So, we started with narrative essays, and this week we are going to work on our letter writing skills. So, when it comes to letter writing, we have two types. We have the formal and the informal type. Okay, so let's look at these two. So, an informal letter is a type of letter that is usually written to friends or family members. So, actually, it is written to people who are friendlies or people we have a cordial relationship with. And this is a type of letter that is basically written to such people, and we term it as informal letter because it doesn't have any dealing with any formality. Okay, it is not usually directed to a company or any corporate. It's actually to a friend or a family member, a sibling, a brother, a sister, best friend, etc. Now let's look at formal letter. So formal letter actually has to do with an information directed to a business partner, a colleague, or any professional. So it could be your employer, your boss, your colleague, a professional, your doctor, whoever. So for anyone of such caliber or of such position, any letter written to them is supposed to be formal. And the idea that it is formal is so that you attach some form of respect to it. For example, if you are writing a letter to your employer or your boss, it's supposed to be different from writing a letter to your friend, because for one, if it's your friend, it has to be a very cordial one. It has to be very friendly. It has to do with things that jargons, etc. But if it's a formal letter written to your boss, there is that kind of respect that needs to be observed. So all the time, formal letters are written with that idea in mind, respect. Okay, and it has to do with an organized structure. So it has to do with people belonging to an institution or people belonging to a company, but it does not necessarily have to be to people belonging to a company. So it could be a letter to a health professional, it could be a letter to any professional at all, and also it needs to be formalized. So let's look at the layout of a letter. How should a letter be like? Positions of items on the letter. So when you take any letter, you should have your address bar here. Okay, you should have your address bar over there, and then you should, that is, the sender's address should be there. The sender's address should be here, and then the receiver's address will be at this part. Okay, so for the sender's address, you can have something like PO Box 10577, etc. You can have Accra North, Accra North to be the location of the box, and you can have your dates. Okay, you can have your dates under your address. Sometimes you can also write your name at the top. So for instance, I'm writing my name, Gomashi Gabriel, at the top, and then the PO box come, and then the account not come, and then the date also follows. Okay, and after your address, the address of the receiver follows as number 2. So the person who you are writing to, that person's address also follows on the other side, and it also goes the same. It could be you can do the headmaster. Sorry, if it's a letter to the headmaster, you can write the headmaster. Then you write the name of the school, a call, a branch. Then you write the box number, PO box, and then where the box is located, Accra North or whatever. Okay, so that's how it's also done. And so once you get your address and you get the recipient address also there, then the next thing is your greeting. Okay, so the next thing is your greeting, but ignore this. This is actually supposed to be here under your address. Okay, so then the next thing is your greeting. So greetings can come in various form. Dear sir, hello, and the rest. So your greeting has to come, and after your greeting, the body of the letter. So the body of the letter has to do with the introduction, the main part, and then the conclusion. Now, for a formal letter, you realize that title will have to come before the body. That is the only difference between a formal letter and an informal letter in terms of structure. So for a formal letter, after the greeting, title will show. So you write your title. Let's say if it's an employment for a job, you write it over there. Application for, so you're going to write it. Application for employment for a job as so so and so. And you neatly underline, then you start your introduction. So that is how it is. That's the difference between the formal and the informal letter. Formal, title comes. Informal, no title. So informal, you just start with your greeting and then you get into your letter. Your introduction, and then the main part of the letter, and then conclusion. So when you are done with the main part of the letter, then you get to the ending and you sign. So usually, for very important, for a formal letter, it's very important that you sign, but for an informal letter, it's not usually required that you sign. Okay, so basically that's that for the layout of a letter. Okay, so the dates, you can write the date in any form, but usually these forms are what is required. So any form is actually okay, because all that needs to be there is the date. All right, let's look at some of the greetings or the salutations. So for formal letters, we are looking at we are looking at dear Mr. John, dear Mr. Smith. You realize that there is a sign of respect. You are looking at dear Madam, dear Sir or Madam, and then dear Sir. Okay, so these are formal letters. The beginning, the greetings, it always has to do with a sign of respect. But then for informal letters, you realize that it has to do with something like dear John, dear Jane, and yes. So basically these two. That's for informal letters. So that's what we have here, like what we discussed. So phrases for an informal letter: thanks for your letter, your present, your invitation. So I hope you are well. It was good to see you last week. Could you do something for me? So you realize that of all these statements, they are actually like a conversation to your friend. Like, I hope you are well. It was good to see you. Could you do something for me? And all these are actually cordial, directed to someone you actually have a relationship with, or someone you know. So for formal letter, you put statement like, I am writing to inform you about so so and so. I am writing to confirm our meeting so so and so. I would like, you remember, so the would here is a sign of respect and politeness. So I would like to, could you possibly, I would be grateful if you could, I look forward to hearing from you. All these are phrases that are used in formal letters to show a sign of respect to the person who will be receiving the letter. So the ending, complete the charts with which endings are suitable for formal letters and informal letters. So let's look at it. So for formal letter, something like yours faithfully would go for a formal letter, and something like love Peter will be informal letter. Yours sincerely would be a formal letter. Okay, so these are examples. Now let's look at it. So you realize yours sincerely formal, yours faithfully formal, and the rest are all informal endings of a letter. So yours faithfully if you want to know the name of the person you are writing to. Yours sincerely if you know the name of the person you are writing to. So bear in mind that if you are ending in a formal letter and you do not know the name of the person you are writing to, you use yours faithfully. But if you know the name of the person you are writing to, you use yours sincerely. If you know the name of the person you're writing to, you use yours sincerely. So bear that in mind for your essays. So basically, this is what we've gone through. We know that this part has to do with the sender's address. This part has to do with the receiver's address. This part has to do with salutation. For formal letter, there will be a title here, and then this has to do with the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. This has to do with the ending and the signature. Okay, so this is the format of letter writing, and I hope this format you'll be able to follow this guide in order to solve the work I've given to you. So let's look at an example quickly. So your address is here, the name, address of the person you're writing to. So I said you should ignore this, move this to this part, and the salutation or the greeting is here. Dear Peter, it was so nice to see you last week. Thanks for the invitation to your party on Friday. I will be there. I will be there at 8 o'clock. I will bring some good red wine. See you soon. Then the ending comes and your name or your signature. So for an informal, your signature. So basically, these are that's an example of a letter, both formal and informal. And I hope this structure would help you to write your letter. Until we meet again, have a nice day. Bye bye.